All right, so I have not put anything together in a couple months. Um, and I guess just a quick recap. So, I did start TRT a little while back, 5 weeks in. I was at 168 milligrams weekly doing daily subcutaneous injections, and I was having some issues with, I noticed a little bit of inflammation noticeable inflammation in the left nipple, so fearful of some potential gyno starting to develop, and significantly increased blood pressure. I think my blood pressure got as high as about I think it was 158 over 92, so very high blood pressure. I'm almost ashamed to say that the nipple inflammation was more concerning to me in terms of not wanting to wait it out and see if things balanced out, because they were saying that they thought by about 8 weeks things would balance out and stabilize. I guess I felt confident enough in my heart health that I'd be able to handle a couple weeks of elevated blood pressure, even though it really sucked when I was working out. I didn't really notice it during the day, which is a little freaky. But I was concerned, since I did have some nipple inflammation and probably some extremely mild gyno from puberty, that was something that might turn into more of an issue, and I didn't want to find out. When the doctors recommended more pharmacological intervention to balance it out, and were basically like, oh, we'll just go on these drugs now, and I looked into it, and they wanted me to use tamoxifen for the gyno, and then keep waiting things out, see if the blood pressure got in check. And I looked into the adverse potential effects of, or potential adverse effects of long-term tamoxifen use. And, already having the ulcerative colitis and asthma, and, I just felt like I didn't want to be relying on more pharmaceuticals. I'm kind of always in the pursuit of trying to get away from pharmaceuticals. I was okay with the testosterone. And honestly, I'm someone who was kind of excited about it, but I didn't want to just potentially start compounding pharmacological intervention to, because what if that caused a problem? What do we do there? So anyway, I just quit cold turkey. A friend did convince me to listen to the doctors and at least use the tamoxifen for like a month after I came off, to kind of help stabilize everything a little bit, and then hopefully help resolve if there were any potential gyno starting to develop, hopefully help resolve that. I think everything's normal. I don't know if the tamoxifen had any impact on that. But in terms of how I felt amazing probably about 3 days after. I think that might have been the last video I made, was 3 or 4 days after I stopped the use. I think that was the best I felt during the whole experience. I still had really good energy. Sleep was still pretty good. I'm sure my testosterone levels were still elevated, but my body felt normal, and my workouts were great, and so I didn't feel bloated. All of that was really cool. By about 2 weeks, I just kind of started feeling blah, with losing motivation, just blah, in a funk, and that lasted a while. And I think part of the problem was a lot of life changes happening right now. And so just, professionally and personally, and then, the hormones, I'm sure a little bit, fluctuating a bit there and trying to restabilize. And then also just kind of that feeling of loss with the bodybuilding. The idea of starting TRT, I know I was telling myself not to get too ahead of myself or excited, but it happened for sure. I was excited about the possibility of being able to start to achieve new levels with bodybuilding again, because really I don't know that I've made any significant changes in my 30s. I'm going to be 37 in October, so that's a long time to be pretty dedicated to training and not really notice big improvements. I do feel like I'm still coming in a little bit leaner, a little bit tighter, each competition that I do, but that's just a matter of kind of having a new comfort with how far I can push and just that confidence that I can take things a little bit further without losing the muscle mass. Competing as a natural athlete, that was always my fear, was being skinny. So I was always afraid to push too hard with the dieting because I didn't want to be skinny. So I've slowly, tapered down and come in leaner each show. I guess the benefit to everything that I've experienced and kind of been through over the years in terms of that and some of those apprehensions is it has helped me with a lot of the guys that I've worked with overcome that fear of being skinny and focus on conditioning, and be able to reassure them that as long as they are getting in adequate protein, good sleep, training properly, that they won't really lose any significant amount of muscle mass, and also to kind of let their strength be their guide. If you're not losing strength, you're probably not losing muscle. So anywho, looking back, I think that I was definitely starting to notice some of the benefits of the increased nitrogen retention. I was certainly a lot fuller. I didn't really realize it. People at the gym were saying they were noticing it. I wasn't really noticing it. There weren't huge changes in my measurements, but just the overall look. I think I just kind of looked a little bit pumped all the time as opposed to looking normal. And I realized that today when I went and I looked back at the last video that I had posted just to see about how long ago it was. And I was wearing a tank top and I looked how much bigger I at least felt like I looked than I do today. Also, my weight 5 weeks in when I discontinued was 214 pounds. I was eating less than 3,000 calories a day. I've been averaging around 3,800 to 3,900 calories, so close to 1,000 calorie a day increase, and I'm hanging around 209 right now. So I lost a solid 5 pounds on about 1,000 calories more a day over the past 2 months. Strength and everything is comparable. I'm not, I think my body fat actually looks like it's maybe slightly up, and I'm just not quite as full. So that was interesting. And, maybe if I hadn't been feeling so bloated and just blah all the time, I would have been eating a little bit more and possibly could have seen even a little bit extra growth, or at least a little bit more size than I saw in even that short period of time. And looking at that too has me feel, that much more disappointed that it wasn't the most positive experience. Anyway, yeah, I fell into a funk for a little while, and I allowed that to have me just, making more bad decisions, choosing to, eat comfort foods or little things like that. I mean, those are really the extent of the bad decisions that I make, is maybe just going and grabbing some cookies or, baking something or, that type of stuff. But back in the swing of things, started doing a lot more cardio recently, which I feel like has just been giving me a better energy. All the extra sweating I've been doing motivated me to go ahead and just buzz the hair off, which is nice in the summers. I used to do that a lot when I was younger, and I don't know, it was kind of, after 2 years of not cutting my hair, it actually felt really good to just go with the buzz cut and not have to worry at all about hair. But what really sparked the motivation for doing more cardio was a friend of mine at the gym told me he was going to do 1,776 push-ups for the month of July. And my response was, well, why not just do that on the 4th? And, he was kind of joking about it. I'm like, well, I'm going to do it on the 4th. And instead I played with my nephew the whole day. So I decided I'd get those push-ups done throughout my workouts, throughout the rest of that week. And then I just kind of decided I was going to keep on adding in more body weight movements each week. So the following week was pull-ups, last week was body weight squats, this week is crunches. And with that, it's just been motivating me to throw in running in between sets and just doing, a 2-minute jog or nothing crazy, but just a little bit of stuff like that, plus all the body weight movements and just the faster pace. And it's been fun, and it's been, I think, helping my workouts be a little bit better, which in turn motivates me to eat better so I feel better during the workouts. And the whole snowball effect of good habits, I think, works just as well as the snowball effect of bad habits, or I should say is impactful. I don't know, I shouldn't say works as well, but you get what I'm trying to say here. So yeah, I feel good. I'm kind of in a good place mentally. Workouts are good. Honestly, for me, I feel like when my workouts go well, I feel better throughout the day. I'm more inclined to be motivated and energetic through anything else that I have to do through the day. I'm more inclined to want to eat, continue to eat all the good foods and avoid all the bad foods, because it helps me keep feeling better, and it helps me keep having good workouts. And maybe at 36 years old, I shouldn't allow, how an hour to hour and a half in the gym in the morning goes impact my day, but it has a tendency to. And so instead, I usually just try and do what I can to make sure that keeps going well, because honestly, that's when I feel the best overall anyway. Even if I'm making good decisions in terms of food choices and I'm productive at work, I always feel better when I start off with a good workout. And by good, I just mean it was productive, my body felt good, I don't know. It doesn't have to be like hitting PR. I'm not a power lifter. I'm not really going for, personal bests or anything like that on any sort of regular basis, but just everything feels good, right? Like you feel like it was effective, it was efficient, and you just feel well worked but not beat up when you leave, and that's kind of my goal. So anyway, I'm rambling. Overall, as far as the TRT is concerned, I don't know. I keep going back and forth, and part of me feels like maybe I need to look into other possibilities with different clinics and see if there's somebody that just spend the money. That was one of the things for me. I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money. A lot of these places for consultations are charging you, and I didn't want to be spending all the consultation fees trying to find the right place. So I cheaped out a little bit, and possibly you reap what you sow with things like that, right? So perhaps I just need to bite the bullet and do that if I want to, I guess, give TRT another chance. But as of right now, it's not an interest. I shouldn't say that. That's not the accurate way to say it. As of right now, I'm not interested in pursuing it anytime soon. I still love the sport of bodybuilding. I'd still like to see what my body could do with a TRT dose. I did recently see a video where current Mr. Olympia for Classic Physique made a comment that his off season was 500 milligrams a week of tests. He didn't mention if he was taking anything else with that, but even that, I'm like, gosh, that's more than double anything I'd ever considered doing. So, perhaps it wouldn't really matter in terms of, me being able to be highly competitive with bodybuilding if I were only willing to do the TRT anyway, which I do feel very confident that's as far as I would go. So maybe it's not a big loss. But before I make any decisions with that, I'll definitely get my blood work done again and just kind of see where I'm at. What is odd to me is I feel like I've been getting, maybe not as much as when I was in my 20s, but I'm kind of getting a little bit of like pimples on my forehead or pimples on my shoulders again. And that's something I haven't experienced, aside from when I was taking the TRT, but hadn't experienced in years. And had always kind of had just a little bit, not horrible acne or anything, but just little pimples here and there. And for the past couple of years at least, I feel like they just disappeared. It just wasn't a part of my life. So it's interesting to me that that's still going on. Of course, that could just still be a little bit of hormonal imbalance. I have no idea. So like I said, before I make any decisions, I'll need to get blood work done again, see where everything's at. I don't think I'm going to do that for at least a couple months, because right now I'm just kind of having fun in the gym, and I don't want to worry about it or think about it. So, yeah, anyway, I guess to recap, as far as I feel about my TRT experience, a relatively small amount of testosterone was as impactful or more impactful, in retrospect, my physique in even a pretty short period of time that I anticipated it would be. I definitely think that if it were something that I hadn't been having those other impacts, that it would have been realistic for me to be, sticking around the 170-ish milligrams a week, and probably see, by the end of this year, I could have been stepping on stage a good 5 to 7 pounds heavier. I think that would have been very realistic. I don't know. I'm just, that's my impression. So it's powerful for sure, right? But also, I was having a lot more negative effects than I was looking for. Well, I guess 2 primarily. I was getting a little bit with the pimples, and I was feeling kind of bloated, which I didn't love. But the high blood pressure was obviously, should have been the most concerning, but for me it was probably second most concerning. And starting to see a little bit of gyno so quickly was the most concerning for me. I guess just because I felt confident that I could reverse the high blood pressure if it didn't rectify itself. I didn't feel confident that if the gyno continued to grow that was anything I could do to reverse it. And so I felt like my body was hardy enough to withstand a little bit of stress for a few weeks while I waited for things to resolve. But I was concerned about the potential of something that would not be resolvable without surgery. So right or wrong, that's where my head was at with that. And I guess if nothing else, it was positive for me in that I was able to have the experience and know, because I do work with bodybuilders and I have guys, it's primarily natural athletes. I've had a few guys that are enhanced that I've worked with over the years, but for the most part I feel like it's been the natural guys that gravitate toward wanting to work with me. And some of them inquire sometime, about going to the dark side, so to speak. So I guess just to be able to prep them for the potential of, hey, even starting off, there's these things that could happen. Be ready for that. Because that was something that honestly I had read some about, but nobody, none of my friends who take steroids and none of my friends who even use TRT talked to me about this kind of stuff. Like, I knew from reading that there was a potential of it, but anecdotally, just from talking to people I knew, it made it seem like it wasn't a high probability. So even though I had my own concerns, I guess I didn't think it was likely. I certainly didn't think it was going to be, something I would be having issues with so quickly. So, that's a positive, I guess, to be able to just help people be a little bit more prepared for what they might be getting themselves into. And I suppose I'll take that as a benefit. And, otherwise, I don't know. As far as my bodybuilding future, I have no idea. As far as my competitive future, I have no idea. I'm a competitive person and I like physical competition, so if it doesn't end up being bodybuilding, I'm sure it's going to be something. I just don't, I don't see that part of my life being over just yet. I just don't know that it's going to be bodybuilding. But I also don't know that it's not. And even if I choose to not take the risks of dabbling with the testosterone again, I think there's still a decent possibility that I will attempt bodybuilding again. I don't know that I'm going to be getting any bigger anytime soon. So anyway, that is that. I guess that's just my little recap of what's been going on. Like I said, I hit a funk for a little while. Wasn't in a great place mentally, emotionally, and kind of, choosing comfort foods to get myself through it obviously made it last longer than it needed to. But I'm making more positive decisions, positive choices, feeling a lot better. I actually started doing more online training again too, so it's been a while since I put much energy into that, and kind of excited about that because I like working with people. I love working with people one-on-one, to be honest, probably more than anything. But working with people in general is just something I enjoy, so that's been another thing that's just been a positive for me, I guess, to be getting more things that add good energy. I'm saying positive too much here. Add good vibes into my life. So, that's that. In terms of future content, I honestly have no idea if I'm going to keep up with this or not. I might here and there when I have some time have an idea of something I want to talk about, but it's going to be mostly talking videos and I don't know, part of me feels like I kind of lost the drive, because the whole idea of all this was to, document my TRT journey and how it impacted my physique, how I felt, all that kind of stuff. And, that ended about as quickly as it started. So I definitely lost a lot of steam behind that. But anyway, here I am. All is good. And I guess that's the end of my update.